2026, as made by the minister responsible for transport and exercise of the power conferred by sections 37 and 102 of the Motor Car Act 1951.
Thank you. You have another minister.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I have the honor to attach and submit for the information of the Honorable House of Assembly the Motor Taxi Dispatching Service Amendment Regulations 2026, as made by the minister responsible for transport and exercise of the power conferred by Section 37A of the Motor Car Act 1951.
Thank you, Minister. The next minister is the Minister of Youth, Social Development, and Seniors. Minister.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. I have the honor to attach and submit for the information of the Honorable House of Assembly the Annex 1, Ending Homelessness Together, Plan to End Homelessness, Annex 2, the Plan to End Homelessness Data, Status, Prioritization, and Delivery of the Plan to End Homelessness, and Annex 3, National Homelessness Action Plan 2025 to 2028. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Minister, you also have a charities amendment regulations.
Madam Acting Speaker, I have the honor to attach and submit for consideration of the Honorable House of Assembly the Charities Amendment Regulations 2026, proposed to be made by the Minister responsible for charities after consultation with the Registrar and the Committee in exercise of the power conferred by Sections 38 and 48 of the Charities Act 2024, and after consultation with the NEMLAC in exercise of the power conferred by Section 47 of the Charities Act of 2024.
Thank you, Minister. We're moving on to petitions. There are none. Statements by ministers and junior ministers, of which there are several, and I recognize first the Minister of Finance and Premier.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, I rise today to advise this Honorable House of important enhancements to the benefits provided under the Government Employee Health Insurance Scheme, better known as GEHI. These enhancements are about improving access to care for public officers, retirees, and their families, and ensuring that GEHI better supports prevention, treatment, and overall well-being. Madam Acting Speaker, the changes I'm announcing today fall into three areas: annual physical examinations, mental health coverage, and substance abuse treatment coverage. Together, they represent an important strengthening of GEHI benefits. With respect to annual examinations, GEHI currently provides reimbursement for one annual physical examination per client per year, up to a maximum of $96. All members will appreciate that the cost of a physical examination is well above that amount. As a result, many employees and their families have been left to pay substantial copays to access a routine annual exam, in some cases more than $200. Where that occurs, the cost of preventive care can itself become a barrier, and some persons may delay or forego an annual examination that could assist with the early detection and management of illness, which can cost GEHI more in the long term. The government has already taken steps in this area through changes made to HIP and Future Care, with the objective of eliminating out-of-pocket costs for annual preventative exams. This enhancement to GEHI follows that same approach. Under the revised benefit, GEHI will now reimburse one annual physical examination per client per year at 100%, within a range of $250 to $350, depending on patient complexity. This change will remove the financial barrier created by the previous reimbursement limit and to support greater use of routine preventative care by GEHI clients. Madam Acting Speaker, the second area of enhancement relates to mental health coverage. Mental health care is an essential part of overall health care, and access to timely support can make a meaningful difference for individuals and families. It is also an area where there has been increasing public discussion in Bermuda, including from representative bodies such as the Bermuda Public Services Union and the Bermuda Industrial Union, about the importance of mental wellness in the workplace and the need for persons to feel able to seek assistance. Under these enhancements, coverage for services provided by clinical psychologists will increase from $97 to $170 per visit for up to 12 visits per year, and coverage for psychiatric consultations will increase from $100 to $200 per consultation, up to 25 visits per year. This increase in coverage strengthens the support available under GHI and improves care for persons who require professional mental health services. Madam Acting Speaker, the third area of enhancement relates to substance abuse treatment coverage. This is also an important addition to the benefits available under GHI, as substance abuse can have dire consequences for individuals, for families, and for workplace well-being. Access to treatment where it is needed should be part of a health insurance scheme that responds to the needs of the people it covers. I was surprised to learn while attending a PLP branch meeting in St. George's a few years ago that GHI did not provide coverage for substance abuse treatment. At that time, I committed to examining the issue, as I agree that this treatment should be covered. Therefore, I'm pleased to share that GHI will now include coverage for inpatient and outpatient treatment for substance abuse, including treatment related to alcohol and drug dependency. This expanded coverage will include both local and overseas care. Inpatient care will be covered for up to 90 days, and outpatient care will be covered for up to 20 days with a maximum annual benefit of $18,000. This enhancement is intended to ensure that where treatment is needed, there is a defined level of support available through the scheme. Madam Acting Speaker, providing better healthcare support to our public officers and their families is an important strategic imperative in improving retention in the public service. These enhancements represent a practical investment in the well-being of public officers, retirees, and their families, and will be funded through the increased budgetary allocation provided for employee benefits in the budget recently passed by this Honorable House, taking effect on the 1st of May, 2026. These three areas of improved coverage broaden access to preventative care, strengthen support available for mental health services, and provide substance abuse treatment coverage where none previously existed. They also continue the government's progress of improving access to affordable health care while reducing out-of-pocket expenses on our collective path to universal health care. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Premier. That takes us to the next minister, and that is the Minister of National Security. Minister, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Good morning, colleagues, and to the listening public. Madam Acting Speaker, I rise today to advise this Honorable House of the continued advancement of Bermuda's national cybersecurity posture. Cyber threats do not stand still, Madam Acting Speaker, and neither can we. As the threat landscape evolves, so too must our understanding of the risk facing our digital infrastructure, our critical services, and our citizens. Madam Acting Speaker, building on the foundations laid by the Bermuda Cybersecurity Strategy 2018 to 2022 and strengthened by the Cybersecurity Act 2024, the government of Bermuda is now ready to take the next decisive step in evidence-based cybersecurity governance. I am pleased to announce the launch of Bermuda's inaugural National Cybersecurity Risk Assessment, or NCRA. This is a landmark initiative in keeping with the government's digital transformation initiative. For the first time, Bermuda will conduct a structured, jurisdiction-wide assessment of our collective cybersecurity risk, delivered entirely in digital form. Madam Acting Speaker, what is the National Cybersecurity Risk Assessment? The National Cybersecurity Risk Assessment is a formal survey instrument designed to gather structured cybersecurity risk intelligence from across Bermuda's public and private sectors. The assessment will capture information on threats, vulnerabilities, current controls, and risk exposure across our organizations, including those operating within our critical national information infrastructure. The results of the NCRA will directly inform the development of Bermuda's updated National Cybersecurity Strategy, which the government is targeting for release in the fourth quarter of this year. This means that for the first time, our national strategy will be built on current, locally sourced risk intelligence, not assumptions. That is a significant advance in the maturity of our cybersecurity governance. Madam Acting Speaker, this NCRA represents a first for Bermuda in another important respect. Previous exercises of this nature have relied on manual or paper-based processes. This assessment will be distributed and completed entirely online, enabling broader participation, faster data collection, and more reliable analysis. The digital platform has been designed to ensure the secure delivery of responses. Respondents can complete the assessment with confidence that their submissions are handled in accordance with the Government of Bermuda security standards and the obligations set out under the Personal Information Protection Act 2016. Madam Acting Speaker, the NCRA is intended to reach as much of the Bermuda cyber community as possible. We are calling on organizations and professionals across all sectors to participate, including government ministries, departments, and agencies, critical national information infrastructure entities and operators, financial services, insurance and reinsurance organizations, telecommunications and technology providers, healthcare, energy, and essential services operators, and small and medium-sized enterprises with a digital footprint. Madam Acting Speaker, the strength of this assessment depends on the breadth and quality of participation. I therefore urge all relevant organizations across the Bermuda cyber community to engage seriously and respond fully. The NCRA will be distributed by the National Cybersecurity Unit. Respondents will have a period of 3 months to complete the assessment from the date of distribution. This window has been set to allow sufficient time for thorough and considered responses, while maintaining the timeline necessary to support the development of the updated National Cybersecurity Strategy. The NCRA will be administered on an annual basis going forward. This will enable the government to track the evolution of Bermuda's cybersecurity risk profile over time and ensure that our national strategy remains current and responsive to emerging threats. Organizations wishing to participate or requiring further information about the assessment process are encouraged to contact the National Cybersecurity Unit directly. All queries should be directed to the National Cybersecurity Unit by email at cybersecurity@gov.bm. Further details, including the secure link to complete the assessment, will be communicated to stakeholders upon distribution by the National Cybersecurity Unit. Madam Acting Speaker, the National Cybersecurity Risk Assessment is not an end in itself. It is a critical input into a larger process, the development of an updated national cybersecurity strategy that is grounded in evidence, shaped by the real-world risk environment that Bermuda faces today. This government is committed to building a secure digital Bermuda, one where citizens, businesses, and institutions can operate with confidence in the safety and resilience of our digital environment. The Cybersecurity Act 2024 has given us the legislative framework. Our partnership with the International Telecommunications Union is strengthening our operational capabilities through the National Cybersecurity Incident Response Team. The NCRA now gives us the intelligence to make strategic decisions that are truly informed. Madam Acting Speaker, I call upon all stakeholders across Bermuda's cyber community to seize this opportunity to shape our national cybersecurity direction. Your participation matters, and your insights are essential. Together, we will build a stronger, more robust digital Bermuda. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I call on the next minister, the Minister of Diallo Rabane. Minister, you have the floor.
Good morning, Deputy Speaker. I'm pleased to rise today to inform this honorable House of the launch of the new Government Public Service Scholarship Program. The launch of the program represents delivery on another 2025 throne speech commitment and shows that this government is deeply committed to Bermudianization and to preparing Bermudians for brilliant careers at home. The public service is a vital part of the country's economic and social well-being. So attracting and nurturing high caliber talent is of vital importance to fulfill the government's mission to improve the lives of the people of Bermuda. Madam Deputy Speaker, The Public Service Scholarships Program will support Bermudians to prepare for critical jobs that are hard to fill here in Bermuda and often globally. It expressly links areas of study to specific roles that are needed across government, as each year the eligible disciplines are designed and targeted around positions we anticipate will need to be filled and/or Bermudianized in the foreseeable future. This design and forward planning also supports the public service succession planning, as it will ensure that we prepare young people to be the best talent available for key positions throughout the public service. Madam Deputy Speaker, ultimately, this new program is a win-win for both prospective graduates and the public service, as it increases opportunities and nurtures talent for critical posts. Madam Deputy Speaker, scholarships will be on the offer for up to $30,000 per year for studies in areas needed to meet critical and future workforce needs. Students who receive scholarships will participate in paid internships during school breaks and will have guarantee of employment within the public service after completing their studies. A 5-year commitment will form part of the agreement to support the new graduates. The program will ensure government is able to fill vital roles with trained Bermudians. Applications are now open on the scholarships program, and Bermudians are invited to apply by 30th of April at www.bermudascholarships.com. Madam Speaker, to be eligible for a public service scholarship, applicants will have to meet the following criteria: possess Bermuda status, have had at least 5 years schooling in Bermuda, complete the education program and training before the age of 65, be enrolled in an accredited program and earning institution ranked competitive or equivalent or higher, have at least completed an undergraduate freshman year or pursuing a graduate degree, and finally, for public officers within the service, they must have worked as a full-time public officer for a minimum of 3 years. Madam Speaker, when applying, students must provide the required documents such as references, transcripts, proof of status, identification, etc. Applicants must also review the list of targeted posts and note the employment commitment upon completion of their studies. Madam Speaker, I want to encourage Bermudians to apply for this excellent new opportunity. This program not only offers financial support, but it creates clear career pathways and helps students to obtain the qualifications and skills needed to strengthen our public services and enhance the lives of the people of Bermuda. For more information on eligibility, required documents, and the list of posts, visit www.gov.bm/public service scholarships. To apply, go to www.bermudascholarships.com. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. That takes us to the next paper. That is Minister of Tourism and Transport, Culture and Sport, Minister.
Madam Acting Speaker, thank you very much. It is with great pleasure that I rise today to lay before this honorable House the Motor Car Ride Sharing Regulations 2026 and the Motor Taxi Dispatching Service Amendment Regulations 2026. These regulations give effect to the Motor Car Ride Sharing Amendment Act 2026, which was passed in the Senate on March 18th, marking an important step in the continued modernization of Bermuda's transportation system. Together, these measures introduce a regulated and structured ride-sharing framework while strengthening and supporting the existing taxi industry. Madam Acting Speaker, the introduction of ride-sharing in Bermuda has been approached with care, consultation, and deliberate design. At its core, this framework is built on 3 key principles: safety, quality of service, and fairness across the transportation ecosystem. Safety has been a fundamental pillar throughout this process. Under the Motor Car Ride-Sharing Regulations 2026, all ride-sharing transactions must be conducted electronically through approved dispatching applications, ensuring transparency and traceability. Cash payments will not be permitted, ensuring full accountability across all transactions. Operators will be clearly identifiable, both digitally and physically, including through the display of a public service vehicle badge, a designated rideshare license plate, and the official vehicle decals. In addition, ride-sharing vehicles must meet strict insurance and regulatory requirements. Once a rideshare request is accepted, the digital network will provide the passenger with key information, including the operator's photograph, contact details, vehicle description, and an estimated time of arrival. Passengers will also receive an electronic receipt following each journey, detailing the origin and destination, the distance traveled, the time taken, and the fare charged. These measures ensure that both residents and visitors can use the service with confidence. In terms of quality, operators will be required to adhere to an established conduct and dress code while providing rideshare services. A formal code of practice will be introduced for ride-sharing operators as well as permit holders. This code sets out clear expectations around professionalism, conduct, and service delivery, with the objective of ensuring that passengers receive a safe, reliable, and consistent experience. The regulations also introduce clear limits on operator working hours. A rideshare operator may not operate continuously for more than 5 hours, nor exceed 10 hours within a 24-hour period. These provisions are designed to reduce fatigue and further strengthen passenger safety. Madam Acting Speaker, I wish to be clear that this framework has been carefully designed to ensure fairness and balance with the taxi industry. Ride-sharing is not being introduced to replace taxis, but to complement the existing system where gaps exist. To support this, rideshare operations will be limited both by season and time. Between April 1st and September 30th, ride-sharing will be permitted at all times. Between October 1st and March 31st, ride-sharing will operate on weekdays between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. and at all times on Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays. There is also provision for the Minister responsible of transport to vary these dates and times by an order, where necessary, to respond to periods of increased demand, such as major events or seasonal peaks. Importantly, ride-sharing fares will align with taxi rates. This ensures there is no undercutting of the taxi industry and reinforces a level playing field across the sector. Madam Acting Speaker, the Motor Taxi Dispatch Serving Amendment Regulations 2026 further strengthen this balanced approach by establishing a clear and structured process for how ride requests are handled through approved dispatch services. Under this framework, all requests received via the digital network must be first transmitted to taxi operators. Only if the request is not accepted within 60 seconds will it then be made available to rideshare operators. This ensures that taxi operators are always given the first opportunity to accept fares while also expanding access to transportation, while taxis are not readily available. Madam Acting Speaker, I hear some noise, so I want them to listen carefully to this next section. Some may suggest that 60 seconds is a short period of time. However, this decision was not made arbitrarily. Dispatch data indicates that the average response time for operators was 8.22 seconds in 2024 and 9.74 seconds in 2025. This means that the 60-second window provides more than sufficient time for operators to respond. In addition, Madam Acting Speaker, the general benchmarks indicate that individuals typically respond to a call on their cell phones within 6 to 8 seconds. This approach is therefore both practical and grounded in real data. Approved dispatch services will also be required to maintain detailed operational records, including ride activity, operator engagement, and response times. These systems will track vehicle movements while transporting passengers and collecting data on demand and service performance, ensuring that the system remains monitored, accountable, and responsive over time. Madam Acting Speaker, at its heart, this framework addresses a long-standing issue. There have been consistent gaps in transportation availability, particularly during peak periods, late hours, and high demand times. This is not a new issue, Madam Acting Speaker, but one we are now addressing in a structured and responsible way. These regulations ensure that when taxis are unavailable, residents and visitors are not left without options. Instead, they will have access to a regulated, controlled, and accountable alternative. There are also clear provisions for oversight and enforcement. Complaints may be made to the Transport Control Department, and where necessary, investigations may be conducted with the ability to suspend or revoke permits. Breaches of these regulations may result in penalties up to $10,000, reinforcing the importance of compliance within this framework. In closing, Madam Acting Speaker, these regulations have been developed with clear intent. They introduce a regulated ride-sharing service that is safe and structured, one that establishes expectations for quality, protects and prioritizes the taxi industry, and expands transportation access across Bermuda. It is a measured and necessary step forward, grounded in balance, evidence, and the needs of the public. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I now call on the Minister of Youth, Social Development, and Seniors. Which one? Right here? Yes. Okay.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. It is my privilege and responsibility to provide the people of Bermuda with an update on the progress of the plan to end homelessness and to table for consideration of this honorable House the plan to end homelessness in Bermuda. Ending Homelessness Together, which includes homelessness data, status, prioritization, and delivery of the plan, and the National Homeless Action Plan. Madam Acting Speaker, this document represents a significant milestone in the government's ongoing commitment to addressing homelessness in Bermuda in a coordinated, unified, evidence-based, and humane manner. The vision, Madam Acting Speaker, is that homelessness is ended. This means that everyone has a safe, stable, and sustainable place to live, and that wherever possible, new cases of homelessness are prevented. Recognizing that no model will eliminate the risk of homelessness should homelessness occur, systems are in place to ensure that it is rare, brief, and non-recurrent. Please be aware that homelessness is not only about a housing plan, but also a step towards reconnection, as homelessness is, for some, seen as a form of escape, freedom, or can be due to complex personal circumstances. Madam Acting Speaker, this plan has taken approximately 2.5 years to develop due to the commitment to gain data and insight from over 400 Bermudians experiencing homelessness, hundreds of hours of collaboration input from community experts and partners, both government and non-government, evidence-based research into solutions from over 40 countries around the world, as well as those domestically, and 3 rounds of extensive community consultation, and the hard work of a multi-sector steering committee. The public was consulted through structured engagement initiatives, including town hall meetings and the government's Bermuda Citizens Forum. Subsequently, a homelessness advisory panel was established comprising representatives from the public, private, and nonprofit sectors with a mandate to strengthen and refine that work. The resulting plan to end homelessness is framed around 7 core areas of action, including the rapid reduction of rough sleeping, improved data and monitoring, expanded access to affordable housing, coordinated service delivery, public policy reform, and public awareness. These priorities reflect a future where homelessness is rare, brief, and non-reoccurring. Madam Acting Speaker, the plan incorporates evidence-based solutions and international best practices, carefully adapted to Bermuda's unique social and economic context. Amongst its key features, the plan to end homelessness establishes a comprehensive definition of homelessness for Bermuda. It is grounded in the European typology of homelessness and housing exclusion, which recognizes that a home has physical, social, and legal dimensions. This plan defines 13 operational categories that refine the circumstances faced by people experiencing homelessness. In practical terms, Madam Acting Speaker, it ensures that we understand and always reference the states of homelessness as those who are roofless, houseless, are in insecure housing or inadequate housing. Madam Acting Speaker, I would like to make it clear to this honorable House, this plan includes a point-in-time data as of December 31st, 2025, using administrative information gathered through whom that data recorded persons who throughout the year were roofless, including 170 people living rough and 99 staying in a night shelter, persons who were houseless, including 217 in accommodation for the homeless, 33 in a women's shelter, 24 in accommodation for immigrants, 113 who were due to be released from institutions with no housing in place. Persons in insecure housing included 188 living in insecure accommodation, 130 under threat of eviction, and 15 under threat of violence. And persons in inadequate housing included 89 living in temporary or non-conventional structures. This data relates to specific individuals and is not statistically extrapolated, and the plan notes it is likely to understate overall prevalence. By way of the wider context, the National Homeless Action Plan also references census-based figures of 82 persons experiencing homelessness in 2010 and 138 in 2016. Madam Acting Speaker, this plan adopts a prevention-focused approach with early intervention and rapid rehousing as a default model, and it calls for systematic reforms across data collection, service delivery, housing supply, welfare entitlements, and statutory protections. This plan also includes the rapid reduction of rough sleeping, improvements to homelessness data systems, the expansion of affordable housing options, and enhanced public education and awareness. Madam Acting Speaker, building on the strategic foundation, the Ministry of Youth, Social Development, and Seniors have included a 4-year national homelessness action plan covering the period 2025 to 2028. This action plan translates vision into action. It will establish government's clear priorities and provide a structured, phased framework to guide implementation while optimizing the use of existing programs and resources. The action plan is underpinned by prevention first, trauma-informed, person-centered, and rights-based principles. It emphasizes collaboration across ministries and agencies, meaningful inclusion of persons with lived experience, and the use of reliable data to guide decision-making and measure progress. Madam Acting Speaker, oversight of the action plan will rest with the Ministry of Youth, Social Development, and Seniors, working in close partnership with the Ministry of Housing and municipalities and other lead ministries, statutory bodies, non-government organizations, and private sector partners. Implementation will be supported by a centralized case management and shared data framework, clearly defined roles and responsibilities, and annual reporting to Cabinet on the progress, outcomes, and emerging risks. Madam Acting Speaker, the synergy between Bermuda's affordable housing strategy and the National Homeless Action Plan is the affordable housing strategy focuses on system level levers like supply, affordability, suitability, and governance, while the Homelessness Action Plan focuses on crisis response, prevention, stabilization, and helping individuals move quickly from homelessness into housing. Together, they create a more cohesive pathway from insecurity to security by ensuring that suitable housing exists and that the support is in place to help people. Madam Acting Speaker, key performance indicators will be aligned to rapid rehousing, homelessness prevention, housing supply, service integration, and policy reform. A funding framework includes budget estimates and cost sharing arrangements will be assessed during implementation of delivery and action plan and brought forward for cabinet's consideration as required. Madam Acting Speaker, at its core, this work is guided by a simple but powerful principle that the plan to end homelessness is a whole system response, and it is multi-year in its nature. The plan provides a clear national roadmap to move us closer to that goal, consolidating existing efforts and aligning public policy in a coordinated and sustainable way. Madam Acting Speaker, in closing, I want to emphasize once again that the challenges before us are significant, but our resolve and collaboration remains unwavering. Madam Acting Speaker, I extend my sincere thanks to everyone whose dedication and expertise helped bring the plan to end homelessness in Bermuda, Ending Homelessness Together, and the National Homelessness Action Plan to its final edit, especially the many Bermudians with lived experience who share their courage, insight, and hope. I would like to thank the Homelessness Advisory Panel, the Homelessness Steering Committee, Ms. Denise Carey, CEO and Executive Director of HOME, the many government and non-government and community partners who contributed their time, frontline knowledge, and unwavering commitment to ending homelessness in Bermuda. Accordingly, Madam Acting Speaker, commend this document to this honorable House and formally table the plan to end homelessness in Bermuda, Ending Homelessness Together, which includes homelessness data, status, prioritization, and delivery of the plan, and the National Homelessness Action Plan for the information of members and the people of Bermuda. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. I now call on the Minister of Public Works and Environment. Minister.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, there are moments in the life of a country when we must pause, lift our eyes from the immediate, and chart a course that reflects the kind of Bermuda we wish to leave behind. Today is such a moment. For years, Bermudians have spoken passionately about the need to protect our island home from the growing tide of plastic pollution. Our children have raised it in the classrooms. Divers and fishermen have raised it from the sea floor. Environmental groups have raised it in community forums. And now, Madam Acting Speaker, this government is taking the next deliberate step. Later today, I will be tabling the Single-Use Plastics Act 2026, a bill designed not to ban every item overnight, but to establish the legal framework for Bermuda's transition away from the most harmful single-use plastics through consultation, science, and a phased, responsible approach. Madam Acting Speaker, the bill before this honorable House does one essential thing. It creates the legislative structure we need to regulate single-use plastics effectively and sustainably. It empowers the government to add items to the schedule only after consultation, only after listening to stakeholders, and only after determining that alternatives are viable for both our environment and our economy. The schedule of the bill is intentionally empty today, and that is by design. We are not rushing ahead with bans without first hearing from businesses, environmental organizations, students, seniors, and all those who interact with these products every day. Instead, this bill lays the foundation on which we will build a careful, well-managed transition that works for the entire country. Madam Acting Speaker, I want to address a concern that often arises whenever the words single-use plastics and ban appear in the same sentence. Let me be clear. This bill does not impose an immediate island-wide ban on all single-use plastics. That is not the intention, and it will not be the result. What we are setting in place is a gradual, phased program one that ensures businesses and consumers have time to adjust, the government has time to inform, and the country has time to shift behavior responsibly. If, for example, the consultation process identifies items such as plastic straws as an appropriate early candidate for restriction, this will only occur after Bermudians have been fully engaged and the timelines are clear and reasonable. Our goal is not disruption. Our goal is progress. Madam Acting Speaker, Bermuda's pristine beauty is not merely aesthetic. It is economic, environmental, and deeply cultural. Our marine ecosystem is the foundation of our tourism industry, our fishing sector, and the health of our people. Yet around the world, and yes, even here at home, plastic pollution threatens that foundation. Plastic does not disappear. It breaks down into microplastics that are now found in our water, our sand, our fish, and increasingly in our bodies. This is not speculation. It is established science. Local environmental leaders have been sounding the alarm for years. Keep Bermuda Beautiful has frequently reminded us that every piece of plastic ever created still exists somewhere in the environment. Their decades of cleanup data demonstrate the growing presence of plastic fragments on our beaches, often originating from everyday convenience items that are used once and discarded. Similarly, the organization Beyond Plastics Bermuda has stated publicly that tackling single-use plastics is essential for preserving Bermuda's environmental health for future generations. They have called for bold action from government and the community alike, emphasizing that the challenge is solvable if we approach it together. Madam Acting Speaker, today's bill answers that call. While this government is proud to bring forward this bill, I want to acknowledge something important. The desire to reduce harmful plastics has not been limited to one side of this House, as the One Bermuda Alliance has been on record in support of reducing single-use plastics in Bermuda. Madam Acting Speaker, environmental protection should not be a partisan endeavor. It is a shared responsibility. If we cannot unite around protecting the waters that sustain us, then what can we unite around? This bill is an opportunity for all of us, government, opposition, and the people of Bermuda, to demonstrate that when it comes to safeguarding our environment, we can move as one. Madam Acting Speaker, the next step is an exhaustive and transparent consultation period. We will engage environmental NGOs, retailers and grocers, restaurants and small businesses, importers and manufacturers, waste management experts, and the public. We will invite written submissions, host stakeholder meetings, and explore the availability of practical alternatives. Just as important, we will work to ensure that environmentally friendly replacements are accessible and affordable. I recognize that we have already engaged in extensive consultations on this issue over several years, and I want to be clear that this work was instrumental in shaping the bill that will be tabled later today, one that reflects the voices, priorities, and lived realities of those who contributed. The upcoming consultation will build on that strong foundation by helping to determine the pace and sequencing of each phase of implementation. This is not a procedural exercise. It is the engine that will drive meaningful, responsible change. It will ensure, Madam Acting Speaker, that every step forward is taken with care, maintaining public confidence that this transition is fair, well-planned, and firmly grounded in real-world conditions. Madam Acting Speaker, as honorable members can attest, regulation alone cannot change behavior. That is why the Ministry of Public Works and Environment will also be launching a public education campaign in partnership with environmental groups, schools, and community organizations. We want Bermudians to understand why this transition matters, how it will occur, and what small choices each of us can make that collectively produce long-term results. As KBB has often said, small actions make a big difference. This bill ensures those actions are supported by policy that matches our environmental values. Madam Acting Speaker, today is about groundwork, the kind of groundwork that ensures Bermuda's environmental future is not left to chance. With this bill, we begin the process of reducing our dependence on harmful plastics, strengthening our stewardship of our natural resources, and aligning Bermuda with international best practices in sustainable waste management. This is not the end of the journey. It is the start of a thoughtful, collaborative transition toward a cleaner, healthier, and more resilient island home. I invite all honorable members and all Bermudians to join us in shaping the future phases of this important national effort. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. And I now call on the Minister of Health. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, I rise today to address an issue that continues to affect our community deeply, an issue that strains our health system, burdens our emergency service, and brings immense hardship to families across Bermuda. And I'm referring to the ongoing impact of road traffic collisions. Recent analysis of the emergency department activity at the King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, covering the 3-year period from January 2023 through December 2025, provides a sobering picture. During that time, more than 3,760 of those visits were the direct result of road traffic collisions. That is more than 100 people every single month. People whose lives were disrupted, often in an instant, due to collisions on our roads. Madam Acting Speaker, while many of these individuals were treated and discharged home, far too many required acute hospital care. Nearly 10% of all collision-related patients were admitted to hospital, staying on average for more than 7 days. Others suffered head injuries, spinal injuries, fractures, or other forms of trauma with long-lasting consequences, and tragically, some did not survive. These numbers tell only part of the story. Behind every statistic is a family member, a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, someone whose life has been altered. These accidents result in physical pain, emotional distress, financial hardship, and in some cases, long-term disability. For parents, partners, and children, the consequences extend far beyond the hospital walls. Madam Acting Speaker, the data also reveals who is most affected. Young people, particularly young male residents, are disproportionately represented. Individuals aged 18 to 35 account for more than 2/5 of all collision-related hospital visits. These are young adults in the prime of their lives, many of whom are just entering the workforce, pursuing higher education, or starting families. When they are injured, it affects not only their own future, but the stability of the households they support. Madam Acting Speaker, these incidents also place a substantial burden on our emergency services. Nearly 44% of collision victims required ambulance transport, reflecting the urgent and often traumatic nature of these events. This level of demand affects EMS response times and resource availability for other medical emergencies. While the emergency department trauma teams must be continuously prepared for the most serious cases, including those requiring resuscitation, rapid intervention, and specialized care. Each road traffic accident, therefore, has broader implications for how the hospital allocates staff, space, and resources. Madam Acting Speaker, it is important to acknowledge that the vast majority of those injured on our roads, more than 93%, are Bermuda residents. This is not a visitor-driven issue. It is our issue. It affects our families, our communities, and our future. The findings of this 3-year analysis make it clear that a coordinated response, which includes all stakeholders, is needed. Madam Acting Speaker, road safety is not solely a transportation issue. It is a public health issue. It is a family issue, and it is a community issue. The impact of road traffic collisions is felt not just in the emergency department, but in living rooms, workplaces, and classrooms across Bermuda. As the Minister of Health, I reaffirm this government's commitment to working collaboratively with our partners in public safety, transportation, and community organizations to reduce preventable injuries, support emergency responders, and ensure that families receive the care and assistance they need. Together, Madam Acting Speaker, we can make our roads safer and protect the lives and well-being of the people of Bermuda. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And that concludes all of the ministerial statements given. That takes us to reports of committee. There are none. And now we arrive at question period. I would like to call on the junior minister who had responses previously. And I think that you have undertaken to give written
morning.
responses. Your shadow has asked for written responses now, as opposed to you giving oral responses.
Yes. Good morning, Madam Deputy Speaker. I have provided the written responses to the MP. Can you confirm that you received them?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I've
Okay,
received them.
thank you. Thank
All
you,
right.
Junior
Thank you,
Minister.
Madam.
Yes, okay. I have at least, I think, 4 people. I'm right now, I don't see the gentleman, so I will switch to the ride share. And I think that Member Robinson from constituency 30 has questions.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. They're already excited about this. That's interesting. Wow. Yes. Okay. That's correct. You are. Yes. Southampton strong. You already know. Deputy Speaker, good morning, and good morning to listening audience and colleagues. My first question is, can the Honorable Minister please notify this Honorable House, of which insurance companies have prepared insurance policies for rideshare drivers?
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. As was stated multiple times before, that there were numerous stakeholder engagement meetings with insurance companies. I do not have the exact names of what policy they have in place. That is operational matters for the insurance companies. But I can tell you that the ministry has had discussions with them, and just like when you go to Transport Control Department to register and license your regular car every year, that you have to show proof of car insurance. It will be the similar process, that you go to the insurance company. Is not for me to get into negotiations of individuals and their insurance policies, but you will go there, you will get rideshare insurance, and you will produce the certificate to TCD. But for the matter of completeness, I can say that we have talked with Allshore. We have now talked to BF&M, which is now, since our conversations come and merged with the two. So you have Allshore. Initially, it was Argus at the time. So you can see this has been going on for quite some time. Thank you. I'm answering the question. Thank you, Ms. MP. I think that's Carlisle, yes, them. Friesenbrook. So as you can see, we've done significant stakeholder engagements with the insurance, and the insurance companies will. They will. I'm getting the fulsome answer here, so you can. The insurance companies will decide amongst themselves what policies they give to individuals. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Do you have a supplement?
Yes, please, Deputy
Okay.
Speaker, supplemental. The regulations are quite clear that a rideshare driver is requiring additional insurance. So what I asked the junior minister, I asked a clarifying question. When I'm sorry, minister, my apologies, honorable, honorable minister. I'd ask a qualifying question. When a ride sharing person or rideshare driver comes to register for this additional insurance, where will they be directed, or which insurance companies will be given to them as an option to utilize their regulated requirements?
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I think the honorable member from the other side has missed some of the previous debates or what was in the statement. They will only offer ride sharing insurance to their current insured clients. Remember, for ride share, you have to have a private car first, and wherever you are insured there, then you will get insurance from the same insurer for ride share. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Second supplemental or second question?
Second supplemental, Deputy Speaker. Could the minister please provide a bit of insight for those who may be looking to become a rideshare driver, what these particular fees may be as far as this additional insurance? Because at this time it seems very cloudy.
I don't know. Is that a second question? Yeah, I think that's a second question. It's different, slightly different in nature.
Okay, well, it's still on the insurance vein, Deputy Speaker, because I'm trying to get through these regulations here as they're required to get insurance, but it doesn't seem like there is any information available for which insurance companies or what the fees are at this time.
Member, I still think that that's a second question. You do have three.
Well, I'll move on to a second question. Then I don't want to use my.
That's just
No, I don't want to use my
ask
second
that?
question
Okay.
on that. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the statement, it mentions that the minister may vary the times and dates for rideshare via an order. Can I get some clarity, or can His Honorable House get some clarity on what the process is for that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member. Minister.
The process will be standard procedures that I will bring to the appropriate place if necessary. And I can give one example going a little further. We are encouraging individuals that have private cars that are wheelchair accessible and provide those services to sign up for rideshare. And if there is a limited amount of those vehicles, and we notice that they are needed throughout the times that rideshare is not eligible, then I will come to this house and make an order so that the wheelchair accessible vehicles can service the individuals that need it year round. So there are clearly some times that we will need to do so. And if we see that this is taking off and the ride shares are being able to pick up the public when needed, and the taxis are still able to get all of their work, then we'll make adjustments. Thank you, Madam
Thank
Acting
you.
Speaker.
Supplemental. Yes.
Yes, Deputy Speaker, supplemental. Will this order process be backed by official information given from the dispatchers or from the ministry's own investigation?
Okay.
Madam Acting Speaker, we will bring data to support any such order at the appropriate time, and we will get this data from wherever possible to back the claims of why it may be needed. That be dispatch services, that will be internal data, the like, and maybe even from cross ministry discussions, and most importantly, from the individuals of which we serve. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Second supplemental or third question?
Second supplemental, Deputy Speaker. Thank you. Is there any method of appeal from the industry if they should feel that this order is not necessarily accurate or that it's not necessarily needed? So I think you got the question there. Thank you.
Minister.
Madam, I might just ask for some clarification on the question.
Certainly.
It's a little unclear as to what the
Certainly.
question is.
Member, can you clarify?
Yes, Deputy Speaker. So as we've seen throughout this process, there have been conflicting data points and opinions between the minister and the industry in some senses. What I'm asking is if the industry has conflicting data or conflicting reasoning, can they appeal this order for additional variant times or additional rideshare service cars if they have conflicting views?
Okay, so I guess he's saying from the data that's collected, and if their data is contrary to, I guess, what your data is, will they have right to appeal?
Madam Chair, as I've said throughout this entire process, the ministry responsible for transport will be collecting all official data, and we will go through it officially. And if there is needed such time that we need to make some orders, all relevant stakeholders and parties will be consulted and informed. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Do you have a third question, member?
Yes, Deputy Speaker, third question. As we heard from the data that acceptance times weren't really an issue, it was more so the wait times. So I'm asking, how does a 60-second acceptance help with the wait time issue?
Okay, Minister.
Well, Madam Acting Speaker, the fact that there are more options now becoming available will force the market to act accordingly. And that is the point of increasing additional transportation options while still allowing taxis first preference. Simply how markets work, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Supplemental.
Yes, Deputy Speaker. What is the recourse for a customer if a taxi driver taxi drivers continue to accept these rides? How can they then get in touch with rideshare? What is their recompense if the orders keep getting accepted?
Madam Acting Speaker, it is a simple process. Again, taxis will be first, and then rideshare will be open up to rideshare. Now, if the dispatch companies that are monitoring their service levels are seeing that their individuals are not adhering to proper procedures, I think first and foremost, it will be the dispatch companies that will have a conversation with the people that are doing work for them. Because like I said, that's how markets work. If someone is not adhering to the standards that are put in place, then there are ways that enforcement, as they've been asking for so long, can be put in place, and the enforcement may come from the dispatch company itself. If the dispatch company does not have any success, then it will be a report, an official report made to the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board, which will then take the necessary steps under law to discipline any driver, whether it be rideshare or taxi operator. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Do you have a second supplemental?
Yes, second supplemental, Deputy Speaker. As the data was displayed in this house that there was a wait time, despite it being a very quick acceptance time. My clarifying question is how then can rideshare assist with these wait times if the person is still having to go and get an acceptance and have to wait until the taxi driver does not accept it or that order passes through?
Okay. Got you.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. Those that have used similar applications in the past would know that if a wait time gets to the point where it is unacceptable for you, there are options where you can cancel and reapply. And I can tell you that if we're giving 60 seconds and your wait time gets to a time where you think is unacceptable, you can actually reapply for hire or for another option, which I think with the use of technology will still be far shorter than 37 minutes, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Do you have a supplemental question
Yes, thank you.
to his third question?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you. So, Madam President, Madam President, sorry, I apologize. Yeah, well, I used to talk to him when he was in the Senate, but can the minister, because he stated that it was about 8 seconds for an acceptance. So with 8 seconds for the acceptance, how can the person who is trying to get that ride, can they delete in order to get somebody else? And if they do that, wouldn't that just go back to the taxi, because taxis would be the first to accept? So how do they get to the ride share if they're in the waiting period? Because it's accepted within 8 seconds. We already have this delay that we're trying to get rid of. How do they get to the ride share if the taxis are accepting within 8 seconds?
Minister.
Thank you. I think my answer for this question is similar to the previous question. If the wait time from the user seems to be unacceptable, they can cancel, they could start the process over. And if it's another 60 seconds, I can guarantee you that 2 minutes and 3 minutes is a lot shorter than 37 minutes, Madam Acting Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, are there no further supplementals? Okay, thank you. That takes us to the next person who wishes to ask you a question, Minister. I recognize the member from constituency 20. Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. Perhaps the minister can advise how many instances of enforcement are anticipated with the rideshare program.
Okay.
Madam Acting Speaker, surely the honorable member from the other side is not asking me to predict things that may or may not happen in the future. What I can tell you is that we are excited to finally be at the doorstep of offering additional transportation options to members of this country who have far too long been put in a position where they cannot get reliable transportation options. So once this starts, Madam Speaker, I can come back to this honorable house maybe a year from now and give those stats that the honorable member from the other side is seeking. Thank you.
Thank you. Supplemental.
Thank you. Yes. Obviously, the reason I'm asking the question is because before you issue licenses and whatnot, you're going to have a plan in place to say, maybe we need extra enforcement officers. Maybe we need other things in place to make sure that rules are followed properly. That's why the question is posed. Surely they have an idea about the numbers of potential issues, given that they should have an idea of the number of issues that arise with taxis. So with that said, Madam Acting Speaker, given the number of licenses that will be issued, is there any intent to hire further enforcement officers to make sure that the regulations are in fact followed for the rideshare program?
Minister.
Madam Acting Speaker, I think I'm on record of saying that the Transport Control Department will be looking at all options that could be necessary, including the possibility of increasing the number of enforcement officers. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Second question, member.
Thank you. With that
Or second
said, supplemental.
Yes, sorry.
I don't believe that there was anything in line items in the budget for that statement. So perhaps the minister can identify where in the budget and for increased enforcement officers for the rideshare program are identified.
Thank you, Minister.
Madam Acting Speaker, I believe that the budget was debated prior to this bill being brought to this honorable place. So next budget, we will absolutely put a line item in there if that is what is required from the honorable member. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, member. Do you have a second question?
I do. Thank you. Given, Madam Acting Speaker, that the ministers rely on a code of practice in relation to standards of dress and the like that's within the regulations, we don't yet have sight of those. Will the minister advise, please, whether the standards of dress as required for rideshare drivers is going to be the same as that for taxi drivers?
Thank you, Minister.
Yes, Madam Acting Speaker.
Supplemental.
Thank you. And with that said, does the minister anticipate there to be any enforcement of that dress code in the same vein in which there is no enforcement for the dress code for taxi drivers?
Minister.
Madam Speaker, I think the honorable member from the other side is, it's disappointing that in one vein, in a debate, that they will stand very strongly on the side of taxi operators and defend them and say that this is going to harm them. But yet, here he is today, Madam Acting Speaker, the honorable member from the other side.
Point of order.
Your point of
The
order.
minister is beginning to mislead the House. At no time did we say there should not be enforcement of taxi drivers. That is what we've said from the very beginning.
Madam Acting Speaker, if I may continue down the vein where I was going, is that what the honorable member from the other side is anticipating is, and what he's saying is that, well, the current transportation industry don't follow the rules, and we're anticipating that the new batch of transportation providers are not going to follow the rules. So we should anticipate, what the punishment should be before we even get to that point. I anticipate, Madam Acting Speaker, that everyone who provides transportation in this country is on board in the modernization of transportation. They are on board in supporting the tourism industry in this country. And I anticipate that with these new plans, with these new options for transportation, that all public service vehicle users will be prepared, they will be ready, and they will follow all regulations that are put in place. So I'm not going to sit here and anticipate what bad behaviors may happen before we actually start. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Second supplemental or third question?
Again, Madam Acting
Supplemental?
Speaker, yes.
Okay.
So is the minister saying that he anticipates there will be no infractions and therefore no enforcement is required? Is that what I'm hearing?
Minister.
That was a good effort, Madam Acting Speaker, from the honorable member from the other side. However, he knows full well that that is not what I said. But what I said is that we already have enforcement officers in place. And I did say that I have full confidence in the current taxi industry. I have full confidence in the individuals who will eventually sign up for rideshare, and that they have the best interests of Bermuda tourism and locals in heart. And I fully expect that this season will be one of increased and improved transportation options and procedures for everyone in the transportation industry. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Okay. Thank you. Supplemental to the question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. Could the honorable minister let us know whether what he is saying is that presently there is no one in the taxi industry that is not following the rules, including the dress code, because he seemed to allude that that was the case?
Minister?
Madam Acting Speaker, I will remind the honorable members from the other side that the enforcement and the penalties come under the remit of the Public Service Vehicle Licensing Board. And while there may have been a few instances where traffic officers have had to have conversations with operators, I can tell you that the amount of individuals that are brought before the board because official complaints have been made are not as significant as the honorable members from the other side would like to make you believe. So I am here today, Madam Acting Speaker, and I'm on my feet to applaud the taxi industry and applaud those that are providing transportation options for this country. Because as has always been the case, they are some of our top ambassadors for tourism in this country, and I know that they will continue to do so, Madam Acting Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. A second supplemental?
Yes, thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, would the minister be able to let this honorable House know whether there has been any specific requests from the taxi industry to increase enforcement within their own industry in the last 12 months?
Madam Acting Speaker, point of order. I'm not sure that that information was something that was in my statement this morning, so I don't think it applies to the questions or my statement. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. You have a supplemental? Okay.
I do have a supplementary. Thank you, Madam Acting Deputy Speaker. Minister, do you think that had the OBA during the last term would have and brought the difficult decision of enforcement to the fore and implemented, you wouldn't have to be going through this today?
A point of order, Madam Deputy
Your
Speaker.
point of order?
I don't believe the One Bermuda Alliance was included in the minister's statement today. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it.
But enforcement was.
Okay, I think that we have exhausted that. You have a third question, member.
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. The regulations make reference to this issue of the amount of time that rideshare drivers can use the app. I think it says 5 continuous hours. Perhaps the minister can share about how that time will be measured across platforms to ensure that drivers are in fact not exceeding the 5-hour limit.
Thank you, Minister.
Madam Acting Speaker, if the honorable member was listening carefully to the statement, he can say that here that rideshare can only operate but through the use of digital applications. And the honorable member, I know, is very aware that digital apps can monitor time and they can actually shut individuals out if they need to. So this will be monitored through the dispatch companies. And if there's an individual that has gone for exceed 5 hours, I can tell you that the enforcement that that the honorable members from the other side have been so eager to discuss, rather than talking about the options that are now opening up for locals and tourists, they will know that this technology is very much capable of monitoring consecutive hours and total hours of operation within a day. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Supplemental?
Yes, thank you. I absolutely heard the minister's statement. I listened as carefully as I could, but here's the point. The reason I'm asking the question. It is required, if I recall, that the rideshare
Madam
driver
Acting Speaker, point of order.
Your point of order?
It seems that the honorable member is seeking to engage in a debate rather than ask questions. So I would ask that you keep him focused, the honorable member focused on asking questions to my statement. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Answer the questions. Then I don't have to give a lot of preamble. Okay. So the rideshare users have to register with all of the apps. Is that they have to register all at the same time? My point is, what's to stop a driver from registering and being online for one app, coming off, going on another app? How is this measured in practice? Is data going to be sought at the end of the day from dispatchers and rideshare apps to say how long someone been on? That's what I'm getting at. So we have an understanding of how that's actually measured.
Okay, thank you, Minister.
Madam Acting Speaker, all activity will be monitored through the approved apps. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Second supplemental?
Okay, maybe I'm not being clear. You get 5 hours on the apps. If you're on one app and you have that app open, presumably that gets measured for that period of time. If you then close that app and go on the second app, what's to stop you from having additional time? How is time measured across 3 or maybe 4 different applications in terms of the total time? I'm not following how that is going to get measured in practice and in real time.
So maybe the better question might be, are they allowed 5 hours through each system, or a collective 5 hours regardless of what system they use?
Thank you for your guidance, and that's a great question. I take that on board and ask that same question. Thank you.
I clarified his question for you, Minister.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. All apps will be downloaded to the operator's device, and they will be all monitored simultaneously. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Okay, that concludes your questions, and there are no other persons. Before I circle back to Minister of National Security, because someone has a question for you, I'd like to recognize in the gallery former Member of Parliament Arthur Pitcher and the former Sergeant of Arms Albert Fox. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you. So that takes me to, I think, Member Keen from constituency 10 had a question for you, Minister of National Security.
Morning, Deputy Chair, members of the Honorable House, and listening public. The Minister states this strategy will be evidence-based. Can he explain how that is credible when the most critical piece of evidence, the 2023 breach analysis, remains incomplete, understanding that the Joint Select Committee, of which MP Robinson, MP Simmons, MP Scott, and Clerk Mr. Simmons were members of, whose mandate it was to investigate the cause of the cybersecurity attack, which occurred on September the 20th, 2023, and make recommendations, has yet to make recommendations and complete the investigation. So the question is how can we have a risk assessment when we don't have the critical information necessary to determine how and in what form it should take place?
Thank you. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't see how that deals with my paper, but I'll do my best. The assessment that the National Risk Assessment will do is to try to engage the local community in a localized way of gathering information so that we could better address the cybersecurity threats. The Cybersecurity Act was established by this government in 2024. Out of that came the National Cybersecurity Unit. And what we are looking to do now is to develop an incident response capability. The Joint Select Committee that was put together by this House, by the Speaker of the House, I think that's a matter for the House and not for myself.
You have a second question or supplementary?
Supplementary. It's rather concerning that the minister would make a statement that basically the Joint Select Committee, whose mandate it was, based on the Speaker's recommendation that the Joint Select Committee should be formed to determine the cybersecurity risks that were faced by the government and people of this island, should be seen as being something separate from the risk assessment, which is voluntary for the community. And when it comes down to cybersecurity risks affecting this country, that the consultation would not include both.
So are you asking
So what I'm
why?
asking is how can the recommendations and the mandate of the Joint Select Committee to investigate the cybersecurity breach in September 20th, 2023, be seen as something separate from what the minister's statements are purporting?
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. The two things are not separate in and of itself. What this risk assessment is doing is looking at all critical infrastructures to see what are the vulnerabilities that exist in our country that we can address.
Thank you. Second supplemental?
Yes, Madam Speaker, sorry. The question I have is, how can we determine what risk assessments are required if we don't know the extent of the breach, the nature of the breach, what information was compromised? How can we have a risk assessment if we don't have the critical information? It would be the equivalent of a person died in a second floor apartment. And now you've got a questionnaire that says, maybe you should, if you live in a second floor apartment, you may get sick, but you don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense.
I definitely agree that his analogy doesn't make any sense, Madam Speaker. But what I will say that, and I've said it already, but I will say it again, the National Risk Assessment reaches out to all stakeholders, government agencies, private sector, small and medium-sized businesses, to see what risk there are to the cyber community and see how we can mitigate those risks.
Thank you. Do you have a second question?
Supplemental.
No, you already
Second
used-
question, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
So the question I have is, has the government already conducted an internal post-incident review of the 2023 attack? Why is it not being published? Will it be tabled in this House?
Just
Well,
answer.
I'll just clean it up. I'll clean it up.
Okay.
Has an internal audit, internal post-incident review taken place, which is informing the risk assessment of which the minister is speaking?
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. That information is definitely in the public domain.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a supplemental?
Yes.
Supplemental member?
Yes, I do, Madam Speaker. The minister states that the information is in the public domain. What information is in the public domain as relates to the information that was compromised of the government and the citizens? And where might I find that? The supplemental that be, where might we find that information?
Okay, thank you.
Madam Acting Speaker, it's in the public domain for all to see. I mean, am I being asked which page and which? I mean, what is it that I'm being asked, Madam Speaker? Well, I did say yes, and I did say it's in the public domain, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you. Second supplemental, Mr. King?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Okay.
If the minister would be so gracious as to inform us where we might find that in the public domain, I'd be grateful.
Do you have a response?
Madam Acting Speaker, no, I don't know where it is in the public domain, but it is in the public domain.
Thank you.
Well, let me explain it, because now it seems like we're going to be up here. When something is in the public domain, we all have the ability to research, do our own personal research, because it's in the public domain, and find it.
Thank you, Minister. Yes. Third question?
And the minister is correct, and the Minister of National Security ought to know where it is, understanding that it's part of his ministry. And one would also think that the minister would be able to furnish us with the information.
Member, just so that you know, when information is in the public domain, a minister is not obliged to answer the question. But go ahead and ask your third question.
So understanding that the Cybersecurity Act 2024 has been in effect, have any persons been penalized, sanctioned, or otherwise for contravening the Cybersecurity Act 2024?
Thank you. Minister?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have the information with me, but I am sure that I could find such information, and I would impart it to the learned member.
Okay. Thank you. Supplemental?
Supplemental, understanding that the government has yet to publish the results of the Joint Select Committee on Cybersecurity for the investigation.
That
Point of order.
Okay.
The
Go
member,
ahead.
the member is intentionally misleading. The government does not publish joint select committees. That is the responsibility of the legislature.
Yes. Remember, when a committee is struck up in the House, it is the House. The information belongs to the House, and it
No.
normally gets tabled in the House.
No,
and
no,
then
you're
it's
absolutely right.
available
Thank
to
you for
the
that
public.
clarification.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's my final submission. Thank you.
That was your final question. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us now to, I had a question, homelessness name. That brings us to the health minister, and Member Robinson, you may ask your question.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I just wanted to also commend the minister for the statement of saying that it's a joint and collaborative effort on tackling road safety. My question is, it was mentioned that they would work in conjunction with several ministries and stakeholders. I just wanted for clarity to know whether or not the Ministry of Health is participating in the formation of the upcoming National Road Safety Plan.
Minister.
Thank you. I thank that honorable member for his question, and as has been stated publicly by the honorable minister, who is responsible for transport and everything else.
Tourism and culture
transport,
and sports.
Exactly. He is in the process of developing a national road safety plan, and no doubt health, because of the public interest, public health element, will be part of that process.
Thank you, member. That's the final question, and there were no other persons who indicated that they wished to ask questions. So that moves us on to congratulatory and or obituary speeches. I recognize the member from constituency 28. Member, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Deputy Speaker, and to the listening audience. This morning, I rise, first of all, to give condolences, Madam Deputy Speaker, to the family of Miss June Butterfield. While I didn't know Miss June Butterfield, I actually played football with both her sons, Marco and Jelani. And again, I can understand and share that pain of losing a mother. So I'd just like to send condolences to them, their children, and her other relatives, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, on lighter news, I would first of all like to give congratulations, and I will associate the Hill House to the producers of the Clyde Bass film that premiered on Wednesday in London. I wasn't able to attend, but there were my father and my brother did attend, and they did say that it was a overwhelmingly enjoyable but also informing movie of his life. We all in Bermuda know too well that his story and his struggle, but to see it on film and for the world to see and share his story, which in part is also a Bermuda story. So again, I want to say congratulations to all the producers, directors, actors, and everyone that had a part to play in the production of the Clyde Bass movie. Keeping with football, Madam Deputy Speaker, I would like to also send congratulations to the former team of Mr. Clyde Bass, the Somerset Cricket Club Trojans, Madam Speaker, who this past weekend, they won the First Division trophy and got promoted as champions to return back to the Premier Division, and this was adding another trophy to our cabinet to continue the tradition of Silver City, and hopefully as we get promoted, we can look to win more trophies next season. So congratulations, and I declare my interest, Madam.
Cut you off, do you?
I declare my interest, Madam Deputy Speaker, as I am the chairman of football at Somerset Cricket Club. So to the coaches, the players, and all the support staff, congratulations on getting promoted, and we continue to build on that for next season. Madam Deputy Speaker, also this past weekend was the completion of the Caribbean Pickleball Championships held in Bermuda, which Bermuda won. We beat we associate the Minister of Sport, associate the Hill House, Madam Speaker. Bermuda in the final beat the Cayman Islands, and it was an overwhelming performance from the Bermuda team, and we look forward to building that as they go forwards. But congratulations to the event organizers, the teams that participated, but also specifically to the Bermuda team for winning on home soil the Caribbean Pickleball Championships. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, member. Are there any other members who wish? I recognize the member from constituency 25. Member, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I would like to congratulate Warwick Workman's Club on their successful kite making and Easter activity for the children, and associating. There were many members of the House there last night, and I want to thank them for doing their bit to, one, provide a health and safe entertainment for the children and to help teach them how to take part in this critical tradition. In fact, there was a question, can I make a kite? In fact, I had to assist on quite a few, and I would urge all adults to practice these skills and pass them on through their children. So thank you to the club for putting on that great event. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, member. Are there any other members who wish to speak? I recognize a member from constituency 2. Member, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. On a sad note, I'd like condolences to be extended to the family, and I'll associate yourself and Member Renee Ming, of Mr. Urban Jones, especially to his widow, Ms. Winifred Jones. In 2021, they said celebrated 70 years of wedding bliss. I know Mr. Jones since I was a young boy growing up at Port Royal, when he was one of those regular Saturday morning golfers with Mr. Onslow Grant's group and the like, with many others who made their way there. His son Michael is a close friend of mine. His daughter is here from overseas, and I know he's lived a fulsome life, but still condolences to the family as he's passed on. On a happier note, I'd like to extend congratulations to a young man sitting in the gallery who I had the honor of interviewing when he first took on the job as editor of the Royal Gazette. He came on Orders of the Day in 2016, one of my early shows, with his charm offensive initiative. Mr. Dexter Smith, probably one of the best decisions he ever made was as an outstanding athlete playing for St. George's Cricket Club in cup match as he got selected.
Indeed.
And he was a very dependable batsman who batted alongside of our illustrious skipper, Wendell Smith, and many other great St. George's players during those winning days for a cup match that we will return to this year. But I wish him well as he makes his way overseas to take on a new life of retirement. And please keep in touch with Bermuda, and any pearls of wisdom that can help us wrestle the cup in July, we would welcome it with open arms. But all blessings to him and his family. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, member. Are there any other members who wish to speak? I recognize the minister from constituency 16. Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I rise this morning on a happy note. I was a part of the unveiling this past week down at the Victor Scott Primary School of their new mascot. It's a bulldog, and his name's Scotty. It was a competition among the students and staff as to what the new mascot would be named. You know, some said Victor, some said this, some said that. But eventually, Scotty won out. Having been a former student of Victor Scott, you know, having a mascot really helps to promote unity and pride in the school. So on behalf of former students and faculty alike, you know, I was happy to see that, like see the mascot jumping around and running around, and the excitement of the children. So going forward, I know that Scotty the Bulldog, the Victor Scott Primary mascot, will be, well, it's kind of a spin-off from Poon Dog, you know, because we from Bacatown are always letting people know how proud we are, you know, to be in Poon Dog. So this new mascot in Victor Scott that's in the heart of the community, you know, just a spin-off from the from Poon Dog to Bulldog. So hats off to the faculty and staff that came up with such an idea, and hopefully this would be a source going forward of pride and recognition of Victor Scott Primary School. So thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Are there any other members who wish to speak? I recognize the member from constituency 26. Member, you have the floor.
Thank you and good morning, Acting Speaker, Deputy Speaker. Good morning to my colleagues as well. Mr. Speaker, Ms. Deputy Speaker, I wish to be associated with the congrats to the Warwick Weckman Club, who have been doing their kite making event for quite a few years now. And I'm a proud member of the Warwick Weckman Club, so I certainly have to congratulate them. And let me say that it was also done in conjunction with the Warwick Parish Council, so I do give them congratulations for that. I did hear my interest as the chairman of the Warwick Parish Council as well. Thank you. Madam Deputy Speaker, let me also change gears by asking for condolences to be sent out following the recent passing of Gary Asento, who also known as Spook or Locks, those of us who know him. He lived just off of Hermitage Road, so we're sort of on the border of Devonshire and Smiths Parish, but I knew him quite well, having canvassed down in that area from 2023 to 2012 and being unsuccessful, but nevertheless, that's another story. But I do want to express condolences personally to his life partner, Della, and his brother, Henry Hank, the golfer people may know him as. And I want to say that both I associate MP Swan. Thank you. And I certainly want to say that both Gary and Dalla were very, very supportive of me when I ran down in those areas. And if it were left to them only, I would have probably been an MP of Devonshire. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, member. Are there any other members who wish to speak? I recognize the member from constituency 15, the minister.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I'd like to rise today to congratulate the senior men's football team. They recently traveled to Mexico to do a they call it a closed door match with the Republic of Congo, which is a significant outfit, Madam Acting Speaker, who are in the final stages of attempting to qualify for the World Cup. And the result was, although it was not a winning result for Gombe Warriors, it was a hard fought and an admirable 2-0 performance. And more importantly, Madam Acting Speaker, I'd like to, highlight today in my congrats, Mr. Maurice Lowe. Mr. Maurice Lowe did take helm of the team on short notice, as we do know that the former coach left just before this tour. And Mr. Maurice Lowe is officially the technical director of the Bermuda Football Association, and he's been such for a long time. And what the technical director does is he is key to the development of football across all ages for Bermuda. And I know that the Department of Sport and Recreation has worked longly with the technical director, Mr. Lowe, in putting forth the long-term athletic development program that we have in the government's sports policy. And from the onset, Mr. Lowe has jumped on board of this long-term athletic development plan. He's put one in place for the Bermuda Football Association, and you can see it, the development of football throughout the leagues, the development of coaches, not only in the national setup, but throughout the island, Madam Acting Speaker. And that includes the different licenses that have been required of all football coaches at all levels across football in this country. So I want to take this opportunity because a lot of times, while the island is going to focus on who is at the head or who is applying for the head coaching job, it was the technical director, Mr. Maurice Lowe, who stepped up. He took the team. He performed quite well as the interim coach in the Department of Congo. And most of you, the Republic of Congo, and most of you would know a lot of those names that play on that team from watching international football on the weekend. And it's a joy to know that our Gombe Warriors, which is, a lot of those members were up and coming. New members on that team went over to Mexico, performed well. And it is my hope from a domestic level that in a few weeks, I will be on my feet and congratulating a different domestic team, just like the honorable member from up the west did in a few weeks' time. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, member. Are there any other members who wish to speak? I recognize the member from constituency 10. Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to express condolences to the family of Audrey Jeffrey, who passed on March the 18th at the age of 95, and also Morag Whitehead, who passed this week at the age of 80. My thoughts and prayers go out to the families of both. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members who wish to speak? I recognize the member and minister from constituency 4. Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I would like to send condolences out to two families. Madam Acting Speaker, Miss Cicely Tuzo, who has left us, and Ms. Tuzo is from Hamilton Parish in her 97th year. Her daughter, Rosalind, and Robert Simons, known in the area of Kitty's Lane. She will be definitely missed as a staple in that particular, in the parish of Hamilton Parish. Sending condolences also to the family of Mr. Robert Pilgrim, who, he's the husband of the late Rosetta Pilgrim, who not so recently passed a couple of months ago, and is the father of David and Dennis Pilgrim, also a former employee of Belco. We'd just like to send condolences out to the family. This time, Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to I'm standing to my feet to recognize the Youth Mental Health Advisory Board. Over the weekend, myself with the Minister of Health, the Premier, the AG, had the opportunity to listen to our young people. We were very inspired by this group, who comes under the guidance of Christopher Jackson and Dr. Dan Kavanaugh, sharing their knowledge in helping with the fight against stigma of mental health, particularly with our young people. And they shared with us particular changes of policy and legislation that they would like to see that would help our young people of Bermuda. So we do want to send out congratulations to them. We were very inspired and heartfelt. They gave a heartfelt presentation, and we just want to continue to encourage them to give public awareness, particularly to our young people, as many battle mental health. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Are there any other members who wish to? I recognize the member from constituency 11. Member, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Morning. I don't know if it was done before. If so, I'll associate myself. But there's a lady in Devonshire who's a cornerstone of Watlington Road, Watlington Lane. And
So he said he would associate himself if the person was done. Go ahead.
I'm
continue,
associating
member.
myself. I wasn't here. She was the cornerstone of Watlington Lane. She was a lady that saw Watlington Lane where the Mings, the Charleses, the Pitts all grew their family. And so I want to associate Minister Weeks with Miss Bryce. She was the grandmother of one of my school friends, Denton Jarrett, and basically the matriarch of her family. She lived to the ripe old age of 103 years old. 102. After
Then her
100
103rd year. How about that?
Yeah, okay. Also, Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate Bermuda for winning the Caribbean, associate myself with Bermuda winning the Caribbean Pickleball Championship, because when I saw those Caribbean flags at the WRGO Tennis Stadium, correct? WRGO Tennis Stadium. Is it Pickleball Stadium? Well, I don't know. But when I saw those Caribbean flags, it tied right back into the whole argument that
some people like to disassociate ourselves from the Caribbean. So it's a proud moment, not just to see those flags, but to see Bermuda beat especially the Cayman Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, member. Are there any other members who wish to speak? I recognize the member from constituency 19. Member, you have the floor.
Good morning,
Member and
Madam
Minister.
Deputy Speaker. Thank you. I just wanted to take this opportunity to send a special congratulations to Mr. Richard Tucker, who has now been promoted to the general manager of the Arlo Soho Hotel in New York. He was recently featured in the Essence magazine, Madam Speaker, and quite near and dear to us and members of our party. And so I just wanted to send, again, congratulations to his promotion as he continues to higher heights, as we have yet another example of Bermudians doing wonderful things on the global stage. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Are there any other members who wish to speak? I recognize that member from constituency 36. Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and to my colleagues and the listening audience. I'd like to take this opportunity to express our sincere condolences to the family of the late Mrs. Ruth Ella Smith. Many of you will remember her. Her and her sister used to sing together, and they had a recording that was very, very popular when I was a young person. So I just want to express my sincere condolences to her family, to her church family, as this beautiful, beautiful voice has now been hushed. On another note, I'd like to offer congratulations, and I'm not sure if anyone else already did, to the organizers of the Brooklyn Tabernacle experience that took place last night at the Vitchling Yard and Dockyard. It was a phenomenal event, well organized, and most importantly, it was a spiritual event that brought together members of our community and those that were visiting on the cruise ship. And a high point was when close to 100 persons came and rededicated their lives to Christ, which is certainly something that our community needs in this time. So, Madam Speaker, to the organizers, I believe it's the Grace Point Church family, congratulations and thank you for a job well done.
Thank you. Any other persons who I recognize? The member and minister from constituency 29. Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, I rise for the House to give congratulations to 4 young men, Aaron Bean, Hillgrove Iris, Kyle Williams, and Keno Zul. These young men completed a historic victory in winning the snooker league this year. And you probably know a couple of those young men are from St. George's. So I'd just like to give them congratulations. They're probably the newest snooker players in the country, and they've managed to pull off a feat that many people have tried and failed. So my congratulations go out to them for doing a very good job in winning the snooker league this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members who wish to speak? There being none, I just want to take the opportunity to express condolences to the Painter family on the loss of, and this is a well-known person, especially to the East End, of Sam Painter, who indeed did pass away this morning. A great cricketer. He has grandsons who have stepped into his shoes and also have great cricketing skills, and he will be a loss to both the St. David's and the St. George's community. And so condolences to his family. Okay. That ends congrats and obits. Members, we now move on to matters of privilege. There are none. Personal explanations. There are none. Notice of motion for the adjournment of the House on matters of urgent public importance. There are none. Introduction of bills. I recognize that there are a couple of bills to be introduced. I call on the Minister of Youth, Social Development, and Seniors. Minister.
Madam Acting Speaker, I am introducing the following bill for its first reading so that it may be placed on the order paper for the next, so it can be placed on the order paper, the Charities Amendment Act of 2026.
Thank you, member. I call on the Minister for Public Works and Environment. Minister.
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I am introducing the following bill for its first reading so that it may be placed on the order paper for the next day of meeting, the Single-Use Plastics Act 2026. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Opposition bills? There are none. Private members' bills? There are none. Notices of motion? There are none. Orders of the day. I call on the, sorry. I call on the Minister for Tourism and Transport and Culture.
Good morning, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, I move that consideration be given to the draft regulations entitled the Merchant Shipping Fees Amendment Regulations 2026, proposed to be made by the Minister responsible for maritime administration and exercise of the power conferred by Section 250 of the Merchant Shipping Act 2002.
Okay.
Madam Acting Speaker, the regulations for consideration before the House of Assembly today is the Merchant Shipping Fees Amendment Regulations 2026. These regulations amend the Merchant Shipping Fees Regulations 2023 to implement a new set of fees for the Bermuda Seafarers Medical Examination Program provided by the Bermuda Shipping and Maritime Authority, and provide for the ability to approve and recognize seafarer training and education courses that may be provided by companies operating and managing ships registered in Bermuda. Madam Acting Speaker, in accordance with the Maritime Labor Convention of 26, which entered into force in 2016, it is mandatory for all seafarers to undergo medical examinations to improve and safeguard crew members' personal health and safety. In 2018, the BSMA established the Seafarers Medical Examination Program to allow companies appointed approved doctors to conduct medical examinations to seafarers and issue Bermuda Seafarers Medical Examination Certificates for seafarers working on Bermuda registered ships. Currently, 2 Carnival brands, Princess Cruises and Carnival UK, are enrolled in the program as approved companies operating separately. ADs are selected in areas where there are large numbers of seafarers from different localities with no approved doctors available. Therefore, approved companies use the BSMA to fill this need to get seafarers' medical examinations conducted at a high standard and issued in a timely manner. It is at the discretion of the BSMA to offer this program to a company, and it is required for the company to have the chief medical officer to oversee the program and personal staff to administer the program. Madam Acting Speaker, during the ensuing years since 2018, the program has evolved and expanded to 33 medical facilities, which each required to be audited once in a 5-year period. This has resulted in increasing amount of administrative tasks and oversight by the BSMA that is required to monitor the program to ensure good governance and ensure that the program is working satisfactorily. The BSMA will soon be implementing a mechanism whereby all seafarers' medical certificates are issued through their enterprise platform, the Bermuda Online Shipping Services, or BOSS, as the medical certificates are currently being issued by the approved companies. This will be a significant milestone, as in addition to the revenue generated from the insurance of seafarer medical certificates, it will provide an online solution to the current challenges of tracking certificates across 33 issuing medical facilities, eradicate the potential fraudulent issue of certificates, and ensure that no fee dodging is possible. Utilizing BOSS for this program also provides the scalability to enable the BSMA to expand the program to include other interested companies and ensures that they that remain in control of the program output, namely the medical certificate. Madam Acting Speaker, currently there are no fees charged by the BSMA for the administrative services associated with the program other than your annual audits normally carried out in conjunction with other scheduled statutory audits. Therefore, following consultation with Princess Cruise Lines and Carnival UK, the BSMA are seeking to implement the fee for specific services. Madam Acting Speaker, the approach to maritime training is continuously evolving, and in recent years, some shipping companies have been proactive by introducing and opening their own training facilities to provide the required training and support career development for their employees. As a result, the BSMA has identified the need to support specific clients with their respective company mandate to provide and deliver training and certification for seafarers employed by their company. Their overarching objectives is to provide well-trained seafarers and officers who will operate and manage their vessels in addition to capacity building and retention of certified personnel. Madam Acting Speaker, employed within the BSMA are individuals that have appropriate qualifications, technical knowledge, and experience to audit and assess specific maritime training facilities for the purpose of approving the facility and training, and who can ensure training facilities meet the relevant training standards in accordance with the Standard of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping for Seafarers Convention, the STCW. Madam Acting Speaker, to cover the cost of the human resources and to administer the program, we have also in ships registered in Bermuda. Madam Acting Speaker, changes to the regulations include in Part 1 of the schedule, which provides for the ability to charge for the approval and recognition of seafarer training and education courses and any subsequent audits for the purpose of seeing whether or not the statutory requirements have been complied with. In Part 3 of the schedule, new fees for the issuance of a seaman's medical certificate, an initial fee for approval of the approved seafarer medical examination program, and the annual fee for the administration of the SMEP have been included. Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Are there any other persons who wish to speak to the Merchant Ship Amendment Regulations 2026? I recognize the member from constituency 30. Member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. This regulation seems to bring Bermuda in line with what is considered to be international norms, and the minister seems to be moving in lockstep with the regulatory body. So due to that, we have no issues with this regulation and look forward to it passing. Thank you.
Are there any other members who wish to speak to the regulation fees? There are none. Minister?
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. I move that the said draft regulations be approved and that a suitable message be sent to His Excellency the Governor.
I just have to make, those in favor indicate by aye. Yeah. Those who object, there are none. So thank you, Minister. They will be forwarded to the Governor. Yes. Okay. That takes us to the order number 2. I call on the Junior Minister for Justice.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, I move that the consideration be given to the draft regulations entitled The Proceeds of Crime, Anti-Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorist Financing Amendment Regulations 2026, proposed to be made by the Minister responsible for justice in exercise of the power conferred by Section 49(3) of the Proceeds of Crime Act 1997 and Section 12A of the Anti-Terrorism Financial and Other Measures Act 2004.
Are there any other persons who wish to speak to the Proceeds of Crime Amendment Regulations 2026? Are there any other members? I recognize the member from constituency 23. Yes. Member, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Deputy Speaker. Thank you. Yes, we obviously support anything the Anti-Money Laundering Committee brings to the House. most especially as it relates to improving the proceeds of crime regulations 2008. With that being said, Madam Speaker, this is a fairly dated piece of legislation, and we find ourselves in the throes of our technical submissions for the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. To that end, we are a bit late to make a number of changes, but nonetheless, these changes should and ought to be made. Most especially as it relates to the inclusion of the proliferation of financing of the weapons of mass destruction in the preventive obligations enshrined therein. Most especially, we operate a risk-based approach system, and that means that not all risks have not always been included, and in this case, the proliferation of the weapons of mass destruction were not included. So putting them in there is obviously key and core to us passing the CFATF examination. But I do raise a point of caution again in that these regulations are quite dated, stemming from the UK's money laundering regulations 07. And they got brought in 08 to accommodate what's called the fourth round mutual evaluation report, which we actually did very, very well at. But we're going on to a fifth round with the changing in methodology. So the long and short is that these are quite dated. We should replace them. It's a little late in the day to do that now, but certainly after this examination, we should look at the skeleton again. And I have one comment on Regulation 9, specifically on the requirement to cease business relationships or terminate business relationships. The long and the short, Madam Chair, is that regulation speaks to how when CDD is not completed, that you're required either to not enter a business relationship or that you must exit if you already have one. We're adding onto the back of that condition the final piece that says that we have to take into consideration whether or not to file a suspicious activity report. This is the report that goes to the Financial Intelligence Agency and notifies them of potential money laundering, terrorist financing, and in this case, proliferation financing. Now, what we're adding to that criteria is to say also take into consideration international sanctions 2003. Now, the reason this is going to cause a problem in compliance programs on a going forward basis is because the International Sanctions Act 2003 and its accompanying International Sanctions Regulation 2013 form a framework that is very, very different to AML. A bit like how our anti-bribery and corruption framework is different to AML, a bit like how our insider dealing is different to AML. And when we conflate these two, what we do is we draw in performance expectations. A great example in this case is the Financial Sanctions Implementation Unit under the Ministry of Legal Affairs currently issues a guidance note that explains how sanctions work in Bermuda. Well, so does the BMA. Now, this creates a problem because we have two regulators opining on actually how to do one thing. This is the kind of complications that can be created when you think something is like, oh, it's a good idea, let's include it. It's not a good idea. We should have kept them separate. But with that being said, we are nonetheless in the throes of this experience of the fifth round. We have to make these submissions. These are good submissions. They will assist us with making sure that our financial services industry are appropriate and fit for purpose. With that, thank you, Madam Chair. We take a seat.
Are there any other persons who wish to speak to the? Sorry.
Thank you,
Yes,
Madam Deputy
I
Speaker.
recognize the member from constituency 22.
22.
Yes, member, you have the
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I had the pleasure of riding up the elevator with the former member of Parliament from what is now Constituency 3, MP Pitcher, and he said that talking to me in the elevator, I was apparently a lot more loud and forceful in person than I am when speaking on the mic. He said, get closer to the mic. So I'll try and do that. I don't need to add much because the honorable member, Jerian Richardson, MP, has already given a detailed observation of the bill. I just would like to do three things. That is, one, to thank the honorable junior minister for his presentation and for bringing this. Secondly, just to say that it is important that we, as a jurisdiction and an international financial center of such well regard, remain at the forefront of these international regulatory regimes. They are impressed upon us from abroad, but nonetheless, the international reality of the global world and the global economy is such that we rightly need to stay at the forefront. And so it's nice to see this. My third and final point, only because we're not going to committee, is that the vast majority of these regulations are simply to update the proliferation finance. There are two exceptions, and I just flagged them by named clause for the benefit of the listening public and those because they wouldn't necessarily expect to see them as MP Richardson's explained. There is an amendment to Regulation 9 at Clause 5 of the bill that deals with International Sanctions Act 2003. So that may be unexpected in what is otherwise dealing with proliferation finance. And likewise, there is an amendment to Regulation 11 at Clause 7D for David of the bill, also dealing with international sanctions. And so I just flagged for the listening public, for those who are in this space, and there are lots of people in Bermuda who are in this space, just to be aware that the international sanctions regime is also being addressed in what is otherwise an anti-money laundering, anti-terrorist bill. Regulations, rather. Thank you, Madam Deputy Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other persons who wish to speak to the regulations? There being none, I call on the junior minister.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I move that the said draft regulations be approved and that a suitable message be sent to His Excellency the Governor.
Are there any objections? There being none, so moved. Okay, that takes us to item 3, which I do believe will be carried over by the, it's being done? Oh, okay, I wasn't informed of that. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I was informed of the charities bill, but just not that it wasn't being carried over. Okay, Minister, are you ready?
Yes, Madam Chair. Madam Acting Speaker, I move that Standing Order 29-1 be suspended to enable the House to proceed with the second reading of the bill entitled the Charities Amendment Act 2026.
It has been moved that Standing 29 be suspended so that the member can proceed to the second reading. Are there any objections? There are none. So moved. Continue, member.
Madam Acting Speaker, the purpose of the bill entitled Charities Amendment Act 2026 before the House today is to amend the Charities Act 2014 Act to improve provisions on compliance officers and revoke references in the charity's anti-money laundering, anti-terrorist financing, and reporting regulations 2014 AML ATF regulations in order to align the effectiveness of Bermuda's anti-terrorist financing regime with international standards and to provide for connected purposes. Madam Acting Speaker, Bermuda was assessed via a mutual evaluation exercise in 2018 by the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force using the 4th round Financial Action Task Force methodology. Bermuda received a compliant rating with respect to FATF Recommendation 8, Rec 8, which provides guidelines on the regulation of nonprofit organizations, NPOs. With respect to the prevention and mitigation of terrorist financing, TF risk, Madam Acting Speaker, in 2023, the FATF revised Rec 8 to address concerns that many jurisdictions adopted overly broad or prescriptive regulatory measures for NPOs, which had the unintended consequence of constraining legitimate charitable activities without providing a demonstrable corresponding benefit to the mitigation of potential TF risk. Madam Acting Speaker, the revised Rec 8 emphasized that the term NPOs specifically relates to FATF definition of NPOs, which is a legal person or arrangement or organization that primarily engages in raising or dispersing funds for purposes such as charitable, religious, cultural, educational, social, or fraternal purposes, or for the carrying out of other types of good works. Additionally, the revised standard requires countries to have in place focused, proportionate, effective, and risk-based measures to identify TF risk. Further, the revised Rec 8 makes clear that NPOs are not reporting entities subject to anti-terrorist financing and reporting obligations, appointing a compliance officer, and should not be required to conduct customer due diligence as required by financial institutions and designated non-financial business and professions. Madam Acting Speaker, currently there are significant provisions in the AML ATF regulations that require charities to appoint a compliance officer and impose an obligation for them to submit suspicious activity reports, Rec 8 explicitly cautions against treating MPOs in this way, and without corrective action, Bermuda risks a non-compliant rating for this recommendation under the FATF fifth round methodology. Madam Acting Speaker, in May 2025, a mock review exercise the Registrar General's readiness for the fifth round mutual evaluation was carried out. The key findings were that under the current charity legislative framework, Bermuda's charity sector was overregulated. Disproportionate measures for compliance requirements are threshold-based rather than risk-based, and misaligned supervision with heavy emphasis on monitoring checks and regulatory compliance as opposed to assessing an actual risk factors. These findings make clear that the Registrar General's RG regime or framework does not align with the revised FATF Rec 8 standards. However, Madam Acting Speaker, this non-alignment presented a material risk of non-compliance with Rec 8 and its implementation under Core Issues 10.3 of Immediate Outcome 10, which both require focused, proportionate, and risk-based measures for TF, risk oversight, or monitoring of the local MPO sector. If the AML ATF regulations are not repealed and the required amendments to the Act and regulations are not made, then it will be determined by the CFATF assessors at the mutual evaluation in 2027 that the RG does not have a correct understanding of the intentions or requirements of the revised RAC 8 standards and has misapplied or wrongfully imposed counter-terrorist financing measures that disrupt or discourage activities of the local charities and MPO sector. Madam Acting Speaker, the policy intent behind the amendment is to repeal the AML ATF regulations and amend the Act and the regulations to address the overregulation of NPOs regarding the requirements set out by the FATF standards, to ensure aspects of the AML ATF regulations that remain critical to good governance of charities and NPOs are retained and incorporated into the regulations, and to further amend the Act and the regulations to ensure the regulatory framework of Bermuda's charity sector remains robust and upholds international best practice. The objectives are to do away with the AML ATF regulations, which impose obligations on charities that treat them like reporting entities, as its provisions are not in line with the intentions of the revised Rec 8. Identify those provisions that are still required to maintain a robust charities regulatory framework and transfer them to the regulations, and to further strengthen the existing legislation by amending the Act and the regulations to provide more clarity to existing provisions and introduce new provisions. Madam Acting Speaker, the bill seeks to replace the word supervisory in the Act with the word oversight. Revised Rec 8 indicates that the relevant authority responsible for MPOs should be acting in an oversight capacity instead of a supervisory capacity, and this change in language will reflect that. Also, the bill seeks to remove references to the AML as FATF standards, prioritize ATF measures, as NPOs are considered at risk to TF abuse as opposed to ML abuse. Madam Acting Speaker, the bill seeks to empower the Registrar General Registrar to disclose information to international authorities in relation to investigations into money laundering, terrorist financing, proliferation financing, or other financial crimes. Revised Rec 8 requires jurisdictions to have appropriate points of contact and procedures to respond to international requests about MPOs that relate to terrorist financing or other forms of terrorist support. Although money laundering, proliferation financing, and other financial crimes are not specific under Rec 8, and FATF does not review MPOs as being an especially high risk for these, other jurisdictions such as Jamaica have included provisions in their legislation that supports international cooperation. The bill introduces new civil penalties of an additional $200 penalty to be added to the existing penalty of $200 under the Act for failing to submit annual reports and accounts within 30 days after the initial deadline for submission, and $200 where a charity has failed to register as an exempt charity under the Act within 30 days of incorporation. Additionally, Madam Acting Speaker, the bill further removes the Act from any reference to the AML ATF regulations, includes an additional provision under the Act to state details of salary information of paid staff in such a manner as may be prescribed by the registrar in light of the fact that there is a clear public interest in salary information for charities being part of the public record, and removes from the act any reference of the requirement to appoint a compliance officer, as this does not align with revised Rec 8. In closing, Madam Acting Speaker, the Charities Amendment Act 2026 is the government's unwavering commitment to enhance the legal framework providing oversight of charities and ensure that the RG's regime effectively upholds international best practices. Madam Acting Speaker, I now move the bill entitled Charities Amendment Act 2026 be read for the second time.
Are there any other persons who wish to speak to the bill? I recognize a member from constituency 23. Member, you have the floor. Let me just say that I do understand that you guys intend to be brief, and so the hope is that they can go into committee before lunch. We only have 5 minutes, so I don't know. I will leave that up to the respective minister once we.
Thank you,
Once you
Madam
finish.
Deputy Chair. AML is one thing I could speak to for hours, if not, but I will absolutely restrain myself. Specifically, I want to thank the minister and the professional team at the civil service for the brief that we had yesterday. And I'll keep that brief, but I just wanted to say thank you to them for their cooperation in this matter. As it relates to this, why charities? It's not just compliance with international norms, Madam Chair, even though we risk rate very low for terrorist financing. The simple fact of the matter is that charities are optimal vehicles for the purposes of collecting money and then moving money towards charitable purposes in other jurisdictions. And that is literally the definition of terrorist financing. I won't spend too long on that because I think that the Honorable Minister and her civil service team are not only briefed, but in a position to brief others on that. What I would say, though, is it always concerns me about overreach, specifically proportionality. The 2024 National Risk Assessment has been published for some time, and it makes quite clear the matters that we have to concern ourselves with relating to managing the terrorist financing, as well as money laundering risks associated with charities. This legislation seeks to what I would say is arguably is reduce the amount of work that charities have had to do in the past, which is smart because the first version of it was onerous and clunky. And to that end, it's good to see that it's being stripped down to its components, so it's becoming more proportional. With that being said, we do have areas of concern, especially around salaries disclosure. Recommendation 8 of the Financial Action Task Force does not require salaries disclosure as a mechanism. I raised that in the briefing. The Honorable Minister and her team did make an explanation. Nonetheless, I raise it here for the purposes of the Hansard to say that although there may be other macro reasons for the purposes of salary disclosure and that information being collected by the RG, it is nonetheless not consistent with the FATF recommendation 8, and therefore we discourage its use. Following on from that, we were talking about the proportionality implicit in the NRA. The Honorable Minister and her team did well to argue that the risks that the AML program that's being put on the NPOs is proportionate to the risks that they pose. I would add that the proportionality or the risk as posed seems to be limited and controlled by a few controls, namely the amount of $50,000, anything below $50,000 that NPO doesn't require a compliance officer and similar controls. I would argue that those are a step in the right direction, but I don't think they go far enough, mostly because I think that the due diligence requirements imposed in this regime, as yet not defined by the guidance notes, invite overreach. And so to that end, I have the assurances of the minister and her team that the guidance notes relevant to make sure that overreach does not occur will be brought into force in due course, and I look forward to that. With that being said, I know that this is something that is required by international norms, and I 100% support, again, the work of the ministry and the National Anti-Money Laundering Committee, as does His Majesty's loyal opposition. Thank you, Madam Chair.
It actually is 12:30, so
I'm in your hands. If
yes,
you would like
and
me to
I
hold it
do
until
believe
2.
I do believe that we will need to break for lunch, and so I will recognize you after lunch, and you can
Thank you,
speak.
Deputy Speaker.
So I ask that the
Thank you, Madam Acting Speaker. Madam Acting Speaker, I move the Honorable House to now adjourn until 2 p.m.
it has been moved and we shall adjourn until 2 p.m. Yes.